Welcome back, everyone. Welcome back to the first streams of 2024. Can you guys hear me all right? And how is everybody doing? I am not sick, Jacob. Jesus, man. I am just that excited, right, that I caught myself, what you think seems like a cold. But I am not ill. This is 2024 and I'm not getting sick before this first stream. That's just not okay, I don't think. But I don't have my microphone set up. That's probably one of the contributing factors. But yeah, welcome back, guys. How many people do we have? We have 16 people with us currently. We will be starting very, very shortly. Again, this is the first stream, so we'll wait for 20 people as usual. And then once we hit 20 concurrent, we'll just get started. Either that, or we hit, I think I'll probably just get started in 4 minutes, regardless. Make it a slightly earlier session. But how's everyone doing? Jack's here, Keel's here, the whole squad's here. Yeah, welcome back, guys. It's been a while. It's been so long that I kind of maybe have forgotten how to stream, so even just opening up OBS, man, so many buttons. Why can't I just say stream? Jesus. Turn the music up a little bit. This down. It's probably time just to. Right. You guys can all see everything, I feel like, so we should be good. Shanae, welcome. Peter, welcome. Jacob, do I use OBS or Streamlabs? Man, I don't even know the difference, man. You're asking me such complicated questions. All I know is basic technical analysis, brother. So I can't unfortunately answer your question of whether I use OBS or Streamlabs, man. Like, all I know is how candles close, you know, if it's above or below a range, what we're expecting for, you know, Jesus. Keep it to simple questions, please, guys. 22 people. Cool. Oh, we have Johnny here as well. Dude, fantastic. Welcome back. Cool. I think we're probably gonna get started. So, bit of background. Today is the first day back. This is technically the first day back from my holiday as well, 8th of Jan. I had a flight on the 7th of Jan at 11:30 something p.m. from Hong Kong. There's a bit of a time difference, so it's a 12-hour flight, and it landed in London Heathrow Airport at 6 in the morning today. And then I had work, right? So work for the entire day, and then now we're streaming. So yeah, apologies if I'm a little bit slow today, but I have been awake around 36 hours. But yeah, I've been excited to get back to you guys to, you know, analyze the charts, cover the DVS pre-Asia session once again. Yeah, let's get started. So you guys can see everything. Just let me know if I'm too loud or whatever, as usual. Right? We can modify that. Let's remove all drawings first. And start with the monthly. We have not done a single monthly analysis for 2024 yet. So again, it's really just these two lines that you're thinking about. Right? So cool. You have, you know, a candle closure again above most recent. Right? You also have an overall wick all the way up to 2150 to fill. You have a steep bottom wick for last month's candle, and you're currently 8 days into the monthly, right? So January has, I think, 31 days total. We still have most of the month, right, to trade. I think 1 week has gone past, even though I think the first was a Monday and that was kind of like a bank holiday, so it's only really been like 5 trading days in total. But the first thing price did was it just came straight down, right, and started to create a bottom wick, right? This, I mean, ideally for us, right, this closure for last month could have been slightly above these highs around 2070 something, right? Just because then we're understanding that these wick ranges here are very important for potentially the daily and the weekly, right? So if we have a monthly closure within this range, still below around 2066, 2075, overall, there could be a chance that our weekly is respecting that range or our daily is respecting certain ranges, right? So in that case, getting a closure which potentially looks slightly cleaner. Right, let's get out the zoom annotations. So if we potentially got a closure that looked like this instead, right? Still with the same top wick, same bottom wick, right? So something like that, we would have understood that, okay, cool, this could be interpreted as potentially even a breakout because we have these areas, which is a strong wick area level of rejection. We now have still closed kind of overall respecting, right? Even though we are bullish above, and obviously we've never had a monthly candle closure above 1993, 1991 sorts of areas, you know, until 2 months ago, right? So because of that, we're still extremely bullish for this month and probably for 2024. But you know, we don't know how far this bottom wick is going to go. Is it going to come down all the way to 1991 to fill this range because we're kind of still in this range overall? And is price just going to do this, right? Because you're here, you're just going to do this, right? If you're in a range, you're going to, maybe we're consolidating here for the month. And then maybe we'll grab liquidity before being able to come back up again, right? So, I mean, if you look at what happened last time, we consolidated these areas, right? Broke out below, back up, and now we're breaking above. So we're expecting price to still go up. But if price wants to consolidate around these sorts of areas, we're then expecting more liquidity to get grabbed before we're able to continue breaking the highs. So that's just the monthly. We're still, monthly is printing currently, I would say, perfectly, right? You don't really have that much of a top wick on the monthly, right? You've come down first, right? These are fantastic, uh, fantastic kind of cases, right? For us to little indicators that potentially that if price flips and starts re-breaking its own high for this monthly candle, we could probably estimate, or we're probably going to take price up towards the wick though, at least, and then again towards all-time highs, which we are not too sure is where, because it could just continue to pop, right? But yeah, that's basically the monthly analysis there. Yeah. But the key thing is, right, we are bullish, right? Number one, we're very bullish, but bullish to where, right? Because we could still be in this range. We'll find the level on the weekly very shortly, but bullish, understanding that we could potentially be in a range, and we may need slightly more liquidity before we're able to break out. But cool, weekly, right? So where's that top of the range we're talking about on the weekly, right? Seems to be at around 2074, right? So just now on the monthly, we explained that these wicks are the top of the range, right? As such, if we drop down to the weekly, you can see, right? You've touched here, you've touched around these areas, you rejected off these, all of these points, right? Even here, you closed respecting 2074, and then you started rejecting. You had a massive top wick for us to come straight down, right? But then you still closed respecting this overall range, I would say. If you wanted to say you faked out, right, back above 2018, you can as well. You started going back here to fill the range, but you then have not closed above 2074 on the weekly ever again, right? Not yet. But that's the kind of range we're working with now. So if price wants to consolidate here on the weekly, we can expect for price to potentially grab more liquidity before we're able to go up. Because if this was enough liquidity, right, we would have started pushing already. We would have just had a breakout above 2083, started going up, right? But as you see, right, after we created this bottom wick, we came back into the range and so on, right? But then we had no bottom wick for this weekly, right? So are these the bottom wicks for that? Or are we starting to actually come down, right? So it's I think for this week, it's very key for us to understand two things. Firstly, is it going to respect 2016.9 or around 2017 sorts of areas? Or, right, is it going to break below? Because if it does something like this, where you have a breakout below, right? Currently with not really much of a top wick, right? If you get something like this, what can we expect, right? You get a breakout below after, a top wick for the previous monthly. This monthly also doesn't have too much of a top wick. If the next week comes up, breaks the highs, and then re-breaks the lows, then we can probably look to take price down to at least these sorts of areas, right? That's our next goal. If we're bearish, and if we get a weekly closure below around 2017, right? But at the moment, we're still, like, if you look at last week's closure, we have a bottom wick for the previous weekly, right? This doesn't really have too much bottom wick, but we're in the range. We haven't escaped this range yet. So the range is between 2017 and 2074 on the weekly. Your weekly also doesn't have a top wick, right? Very, very small top wick. And we've only traded Monday, the 8th of January, right? So at any given point, if this weekly starts flipping, right? Because we're understanding that this is the range. So if you close respecting, high chance you're going to fill the range down. Fine, it's completely fine. But now that you've come down, once you come back up, are we going to now see, a re-break of these highs, or maybe a breakout above 2074 for us to start retesting those highs, right? So that's the other kind of side of things, the more bullish structure, right? So we explained that the bearish structure, what we're going to need to see is probably a weekly closure, either indicating that we're going to go down below 2017, or if it's going to be respecting, right? We're still bearish, I would say, for the week, but we at any given point, we're still overall bullish for the monthly and everything. So that could just be, a range fill for us, consolidating for price to start bouncing back up. But this week overall, I was bearish, I would say, on the opening of the weekly. But now that we've filled 2017? I don't know, right? My bearish kind of concepts are only till around 2017. The next time I can be bearish on the weekly is if we get a closure below 2017, or if we just close bearish in general, right? But the range on the weekly, I would say, we've kind of filled, right? Your next range, if you do want to continue down, it's probably down towards these areas, right? Around to 1972, whatever, right? Towards around these areas, right? These wick areas. But what is that going to need? Like, how did we come down to these areas, right? We closed below 2017, right? Here we closed below 2017. So if that happens, then cool. We'll take price down to the next weekly resistance, which is around 1973. But as of now, I would say the weekly is kind of more of a no bias situation, because you've already tapped the range, and you're just in this range. There's an equal chance of price continuing, to kind of hover here, or continue down, or fill the range all the way back up to 2074. Currently, it's not clear to me, right? So I'm going to use the weekly slightly less, and let's drop down to the daily. Daily range overall is still fantastic. I would say it kind of matches the weekly range really well, right? You have a level towards 2017, which runs across as well, right? You've tapped today, and then you start rejecting, right? The daily is going to close like this, which is a strong bearish closure, but it has no top wick, right? Then we have to kind of look at the previous daily candle. Did we create a top wick for the previous candle, right? Potentially, right? Because we had this all the way up to here, right? If we just quickly go down to the smaller time frames, we had, I think this was news coming down. We've rejected really hard, right? Not like this rejection could have been two things. Either it wasn't enough liquidity for us to continue driving down, or it was, the overall, just a rejection for us to start retesting the highs and like kind of start reversing, right? In this case, because we broke the lows, continued the overall structure, right? This, I would say, you could interpret as more of a liquidity grab in this case, because again, if you wanted to start pushing up, right, this would have been enough liquidity for you to continue pushing up and like do something like this, right? So came down to here, come up, probably start seeing this sort of structure being printed. But what did price do, right? Price then re-broke this, which indicates to me that we're still very bearish, right? Even though we have, very strong bullish closure right at support at the moment, I'm still extremely bearish. And just going back on the daily, right? Your daily has left us quite a nice wick to fill, right? Your 4 hour as well. It's closed bullish, but it's closed bullish respecting around 2030, so it's various. So the last time you kind of hit this area, you did range as well, right? You started ranging these areas. It's a high chance you're going to come back down, fill the range towards 2017, and also continue down, right? Because you're generally more bearish than you are bullish on these smaller time frames. But again, right? If we just analyze this very basic element here, does the daily need a top wick, right? I would say if it does have a top wick, it'd be good, and we probably see it drive even further. But as it is now, I wouldn't expect, for us to continue driving down. We need a top wick. Firstly, because we've already filled 2017, right? If price did actually close somewhat, bearish, but kind of something like this, right, where you have a closure below this area, right? You understand you have a range to fill at 2017, and you just kind of close like this, and this is fantastic, right? Because then we can anticipate that the next candle is going to come up, break the highs, probably towards somewhere around these areas, right? And then start filling the range afterwards, right? So around this sort of area, right? Or around these sorts of areas, right? Just anywhere that kind of looks like, potentially price is tapped previously, and we're looking to come down after tapping that level, right? But since we've already filled the range towards 2017, I can't expect price to come all the way back up and then come all the way back down because the range has been filled. If it does come back up for next week, for tomorrow, what it could be is just price, rejecting, right? because you're in a range. You're in range. There's a high chance you're just going to do something like this, right? As you're in a range from here to here. If you want to make it slightly more specific, I guess you could potentially say it's like, yeah, around these areas is good. But that's what's happening, right? So firstly, you don't have a closure below 2017. Secondly, right, you don't have a top wick for the previous daily. So you're in this range, haven't really made a decision as to where you're going yet. Overall structure for the daily is that we had we had this fake out here, right? So we grabbed a lot of liquidity from this fake out to come down to fill this what was weekly overall range was 2017, which is why now I'm not too sure where price is going to go. Right? We could get a continuation of price to come down, but do we have enough liquidity to do that? Right? It looks like on the daily we had a fake out, but on the weekly this was just a like simple kind of closure at resistance, and then it didn't have enough liquidity to continue up. So is the daily sells that we are going to potentially get towards around 2010 or even further down towards around 1989, if we do get those sells, what is that in terms of the overall bigger picture? Is that just going to be a steeper weekly bottom wick, a steeper monthly bottom wick before we're flipping and then coming back up, right? So that's the overall thoughts that I'm having at the moment. Just in terms of just going back to the weekly really quickly, if the weekly doesn't flip this week, right, and it closes somewhat like this, it's going to be slightly more difficult for us to trade because we're still in this range overall, right? And if we want to get a steeper bottom, like if it just closes like this, we'll probably need to see a steeper bottom wick for next week before we're able to retest those highs and start printing bullish for the monthly to flip. Mainly because if your weekly is going to close like this, even though it's not going to, right? Because it's only been one day of the week. But if it hovers around here for the rest of the week, because I don't think we have news at all for next week, um, for the rest of this week. But if that's what happens, right? Probably gonna need to see price come all the way back down. Potentially need to tapping 1973 before we're able to flip on the monthly. But we'll come to that when that happens. Cool. Let's do some lower time frame analysis. Right? So daily, weekly, 4 hour, we kind of have a very similar level towards around 2017. 2017, I kind of marked up earlier today as well, just kind of thinking that, like, yeah, prices, there's a very high chance price will fill to 2017. Because I think if we look at the hourly, I had a position earlier where we just had a pretty simple, like one of these closures or whatever, um, or just in general, because price pushed up here, you had a range here, right? Like this overall range. Grab liquidity outside the range to go up. You faked out back in, right? So I think I took some sells around these areas, and then you started closing bearish below. So the sells around these areas, right? Anywhere that you could grab sells around here, your aim probably was around 2017, which would have been hit full, right? Obviously, knowing us, probably close at 10 pips, which I'm pretty sure I did. But that's your overall goal, right? So now that your goal's been tapped at 2017, where are you going, right? So anything that happens here, I don't know what's happening, just based off the daily or whatever. So we need to look at the smaller time frame. Cool. So if we mark up another level around here, I would say, we can see that price is now respecting around 2030.5. We respect anything else? Potentially even like down in these areas. But I'll leave it here for now. This seems to be clearer for me. It's around 2030. At this area, right? What are we expecting? We're expecting if price wants to start driving up, how? How did we start driving up after tapping around 2017, right? Cool. Let's just look at where price tapped, right? So we have this. We have this. Do we have any other examples of where price wanted to start re-breaking and then grabbing liquidity outside of this range? Because we're overall bearish, right? We're understanding that if price wants to continue up, it definitely can. It's just it potentially will need to come down first to grab liquidity. Plus, there's also a high chance that price will continue bearish because we're currently quite bearish. So I'd say these are probably our main points of interest. And if we're just looking left really quickly, you know, you're ranging anywhere from around these areas, 2000 all the way up to around 2009 sorts of areas, right? So if you are going to start closing bearish again on like the 4 hour below 2017 or whatever, then cool. You know, taking buys at these areas probably don't make sense, right? But as of now, you have such a bullish closure here that you filled the entire range, so it's difficult to take the buys again because look at this, right? You came down to tap these areas before filling back up to 2030, right? So this was your liquidity to go back up to 2030. But now that we've filled 2030, it's difficult because any given point, price could just start printing bearish again for us to do this, right? Because you again you have a top wick, right? So if you start coming down again, I can't take buys here because you've already filled this range. At any given point, like we've tapped into this area, right? This is exactly where that kind of wick area was. See this, right? This wick, this is what price is doing. So your next closure below could rip you down all the way to these areas, towards 2000s. Are you guys seeing what I'm seeing? Yeah? So if that's the kind of overall structure for price at the moment, what am I waiting for? I'm either waiting for a closure below 2017, or, right, I can look on the smaller time frame to see if I can get sells down to 2017 again, because we've again kind of faked out. Uh, yeah, so let's have a look. So at the moment, you're printing, you're consolidating a little bit here. You're 30, you're 15, you're 5. You haven't really gone anywhere because it's the end of the session. Towards the end, you had a very strong push here, but this could very well just be a liquidity round, right? Because you didn't really break any of these lows. I'm expecting if you want to continue back up, right? You're probably going to need to, like previously, I would have thought you need to break these lows, but you started coming up, right? So now I'm expecting some liquidity to get grabbed below here, right? If it does want to go up. So if the first thing the price does is come up, right, on this daily, we can probably anticipate some sells to continue down. Where are the sells? On the daily, it looks around these sorts of areas. Let's have a look on the 4 hour. 4 hour, I mean, this is not bad, right? Looking at this, looking at these, right? After you came up previously, tapping into what seemed like around 2036 sorts of areas, you came back towards these areas, 2033, again at 2032, and then you started ripping down. So if your daily comes up first, I probably won't take a wick entry just off of the daily. But what I'll do is I'll probably look for a flip of the daily, or potentially a lower time frame, right? So if your next 4 hour or your next hourlies, if they open up something like this, where you say you have something like this, right? Then cool. I'll let it push for how as long as it wants to push, right? Doesn't really matter to me as long as it doesn't really have much of a bottom wick or no bottom wick. So even if it's like this, right, that's fine. And then eventually, when we get a closure below these areas, the higher this drives, the better. By the way. And then if we then get a closure like this below, I'll look for a top wick and then probably straight down towards 2017. You have pretty clean traffic once you break this area. Like last time you broke this wick, right? Look at this clean traffic down, right? So that's what I'm expecting as well. And then that would play well, right? Because if we look at the daily analysis and how that lines up there, overall, you're expecting a daily wick fill, right? So last time you closed below this area, 2030 or whatever, you then had a daily top wick. So the higher it is, the better, right? Because you're again still in this range. So if it does come all the way back to the top of the range, that's fine, right? But is your top of the range? Are you looking at the daily or are you looking at the 4 hour? Because on the 4 hour, you may have some smaller structure around these areas as your range. So once it starts breaking out of that range to grab liquidity, potentially we have enough to come down. But I'm not going to be trying to predict where that daily top wick is going to be because you've just closed after rejecting down to around 2017. Any given point, you could come all the way back up to these areas, right? So I'd say that's probably the analysis. In terms of positions, I'm probably looking for sells mostly, but daily's going to open up. I'm not too sure where it's going to tap into, but once you get a little bit more structure, potentially say on like the 15, you continue to range like this, and then you start popping up for the daily, right? Daily starts going, sorry, I mean, probably won't range first, but let's say you start pumping up first, right? Just kind of a slow trickle up, right? That's fine. We'll wait for price to consolidate. If it grabs liquidity, then starts breaking this low, cool. We'll look for potential positions once you close back into this range to fill down to 2030 or whatever. And then once you start re-breaking some of these lows, yeah, cool, we can get those sells to come down. But in terms of buys, it's going to be difficult unless you come down to fill the entire daily bottom wick first, I think. That's probably the issue because you have such a strong bearish momentum at the moment. Unless you do something like this, right? If your daily comes down first, breaks these lows, then starts closing back into this range, what I'll look for is potentially a celery to go back up. So what we would call a zucchini, right? And then once you re-break this high, cool, yeah, I'll look to take price potentially back up to around 2025 sorts of areas here. And then if you then get, breakouts above, then yeah, cool, we'll continue back up. But what needs to happen first is probably a break of these lows or some lows, right? Confirming that the daily is not just coming down a little bit, needs to create a top wick and then continue to rip down. I need to confirm that the daily has tried to go down as far as it can, but it couldn't, right? And then it started heading back up because price is actually reversing. But that is basically it. Yeah, I don't think price is pretty nice. I think with the way the monthly closed, all the candles are printing very much. It's very nice to trade at the moment, I'd say. Yeah, cool. Right, I'm gonna open up the streams, get some boys in here. Yo, how you doing, Johnny?
Yeah, pretty good, pretty good.
Let me turn the music down a little bit. Is the music loud?
Uh, Medium, I'd say. It's quiet now.
Alright, I'll turn that up a little bit. Alright, cool. How are you doing? Happy New Year, mate.
Thanks, you too. Yeah, not too bad. Today was pretty good.
Yeah, I think you said you caught a position like just going down, and it just kind of flew really quickly, right?
Yeah.
This,
There was a 1 minute candle at like 10 or something.
yeah,
Not UTC. Oh, it is 10 UTC, yeah.
yeah, around these areas.
Yeah.
It's pretty crazy. I think what did I catch? I forgot what I caught, but as it was coming down, I think I caught something as well. Just a fraction of it though, not like the entire move. I wasn't in this though. I think I closed earlier around these areas.
I mean, it was a 1 hour breakout for me.
Yeah,
So,
I mean, it was quite
on the 11 o'clock candle.
Oh, you mean the 10 probably, and then like after that closed, you entered on the 11. Yeah,
And then my TP was only at 2020. I didn't think it. I was like,
so
that's
it smashed your
ambitious.
TP.
Yeah.
Hey,
I was
nice.
like, it started moving. I was like panicking because I was using a trailing stop and I just moved my stop. So I thought it deleted the trailing stop and then it was moving really fast. And then I thought it bugged, but it just hit the TP, and because the position just randomly closed, I was like, what have I done?
Oh no, have I like lost my entire account or whatever, right?
Yeah.
I think thing is like once you basically broke out here, you did this first, right? Went up to grab liquidity, then you closed back the range. You didn't re-break this high. Instead, you started breaking these lows. Yeah, this was gonna. There was pretty clean traffic. I guess no. I guess you have cleaner traffic below 2017. Look at this. Look at the amount of clean traffic we have here. That is going to be so nice. I think I'm like, once you break below 2009, or like, yeah, around
the level is around 2009, then the one down is like,
it's like one, like,
yeah.
if the repeat of this, at least you're going to tap into around 1997. But yeah, it's pretty nice ranges, honestly, to trade, especially
Yo,
with this. Yo, Jacob, how you doing?
good, bro. Can you hear the rain?
What was that?
Like hitting my car? Can you hear the rain? Like hitting my window?
Oh, not really. We know you're driving though.
Yeah. I had a. Wait, how many hours are you guys ahead? So I know what hour it is.
Well, it's currently
EST
10:46. What time is it for you?
4:46. So
6 hours.
6 hours then, yeah.
all right. So the 5:30 a.m. candle my time. So 11:30 a.m. I had like the bottom. Like it was the last sell I think that was valid before we kind of like didn't. So when that 30 closed, the next 30 opened, no bottom wick, and it was like it just came up like 10 pips, and I took a sell. It's like for the wick fell, and then just went break even.
So here,
When that 30 closed,
yeah.
the last 30 before that left the wick. Yeah.
Yeah, so did you get it like off the flip or what?
I got on in the wick.
Yeah, you got on the wick, yeah. I think generally,
Wait, no, not that 30. Like the one before that one.
oh, so you got it at 11 then. Oh
No,
no, this was
30
half 11.
before
This was
that.
half 11. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, so you got it around there. Yeah, I think estimating this there would be a wick fill is definitely, yeah, I think that's, yeah, but the issue is like 2017 was such a strong level. Like once you tap 2017, like that's price. Like that's the range price needs to fill, and then it just needs to make a decision, right? Like, yes, you're likely to get a wick fill towards maybe towards these areas on the lower time frame, but in terms of the higher picture, that's exactly what we were expecting, right? Every time you tap into these areas. Your previous hourly closed bearish, it was pretty good. You came down first thing, have no top wick. Yeah, I mean, I think as I mentioned, I think on the weekly as well. Like I was bearish till 2017. Now I have no idea. Now I need more confirmations for me to continue bearish structure or whatever. But yeah, I think if you did take the sells to continue down, like you saw this right, this trickling, it's because you already filled this range. If you hadn't filled the entire
Yeah.
range, this would have continued to drop, right? But regardless of whatever happens, right, it will still come back down, break some lows before you're able to go up. So somehow, I guess this was enough liquidity for us to continue this.
I was expecting it to retap 2017.
Yeah, I mean, same.
Before coming out, having done the when it came up to like 2025 and then didn't keep pushing.
Yeah, I guess you probably could have taken some buys potentially above here, but the issue there is
I was going to if it had tapped further down.
Yeah, I think the issue there is like we could see this pattern. Like a lot of the times you can see this as like a salary to continue down. So especially because you don't really have much bottom work here, this candle had, I would say, a 50-50 chance of either closing like this as it did, or closing like full bearish with a steep top wick. And if it does that and you're in like a buy, it's not coming back up. So I think that's probably the only thing I was kind of mildly
And
thinking about.
then that hourly still closed below like there's a level around like 2028-ish, and it closed. It didn't push past that. So I was like,
yeah.
This is now.
If it wanted to
dodgy.
really drive up, yeah, exactly. I needed it to probably close above somewhere around these areas here.
Yeah, that's if it closed above there, I would have taken a buy up, but because then you're back into the original range you were in.
Exactly. Like, I mean, it needed to come and create a bottom wick. But if anything as well, like as it came up, I was looking at this, like you didn't have a 15 candle closure for an entry regardless of any situation like this, right? you got to break up above here, we respecting here, and you already filled the range. Next candle, filled the range here, right? Next
Yeah.
candle, respected. Next candle, you already filled the entire range, right? Like, there was no entry point. Yeah, so, yeah, nothing I could take. But it was pretty nice watching price just drive. I was like, at this point down here, I was like, oh, okay, should I take this as like a potential reversal? I was looking for a buy here, but then this had no top wick. If that's had a top wick, I may have attempted it with like a stop loss, which was quite small. What was it? So from here, which is 2021, 2022 to 2018, yeah, 30 odd, 40 pips. That would have been quite nice, I would say, but again, no top wick, and then you came down. Yeah, there was no entries there.
I actually have a question about Friday.
Oh, yeah.
Let me find it. There's a 5-minute candle at 1:45.
London, 1:45 p.m.
Yeah, London.
Friday.
PM. 13:45.
So around here.
Yeah. So would you have taken a buy? Because I was wanting it to bottom wick for the next.
I remember this day very clearly. Yeah, so I took a buy here.
Yeah, so I was thinking about taking a buy at 2034.
2034, yeah.
After this candle, after this doji candle.
Yeah, I think the doji candle, it's difficult. Because if you just, we have to kind of go down to the one to see this properly. But overall, if you look at the structure here, right, you had this, I would say, I was classified as rejection, right? You came down, you didn't break the lows. At 11:45 here, you've already then rebroken these highs, right?
Yeah.
So it's difficult, like, because it was moving relatively quickly, and the structure you kind of needed to see, like, as the candles were printing, so how they were moving up and down, right?
Yeah, I was seeing this as bullish structure.
Yeah. So it was getting a little bit more bullish than I would like for sells to come down, and also overall, we were expecting, I think, if we go to like a slightly higher time frame. Yeah, so I was expecting, right, if price wants to drive down, you need to break these highs first, right, above these. So once you kind of came down first, I was more thinking that, okay, cool. I was bearish to come down, but to what point? No, sorry, wasn't this? Was it? Yeah, it was. Yeah, yeah, I think. Was it here? Why does it look so strange on the 15? Oh no, this was my position. Yeah. Yeah, I think the main thing here is I was bearish because I was in a sell actually before news, like around these areas. I had to close off like basically, I think I closed off around like -10 or whatever because I didn't want to be in for news. But I was in a sell. I would have hit TP, but like that's the thing, like.
But it could hit stops as well. So.
Exactly, yeah. There's no point. Like I was expecting price to at least tap into like 2030 here. But then after you tapped, it's like I need more liquid. Like if it wants to continue driving, you probably would have seen this 5 drive continue further down. If this 5 broke this low and continued to close like bearish, and then your next 5, came up and then broke the low, then at this point coming back up, what I need to see is probably it respecting around 2030, and then your next wick came up to 2030, and I'd probably look to have like either a wick entry or a sell stop there. But because it kind of closed so bullish above and also didn't break any of these lows, slightly more concerning.
Yeah. If that 5 at bottom wick, I was gonna take it. Because the one I didn't have a top wick. I was just wondering whether you would have taken it anyway or not.
I think
because during news in the past, you've been a bit more I don't know what the right word is. Aggressive with stuff.
Yeah. I think I was pretty aggressive with this one though. Like once this came back up, because then this news candle basically flipped, right? You then also had kind of like a little zucchini thing here, but then once it broke past here, I'm expecting. I think the hourly closed at that point. Where am I? I am here. Yeah, at that point, your hourly thing closed, like very doji, basically for this hourly. So like the overall momentum, I think it's something that Wix was talking about like a couple months, maybe weeks ago. Your overall momentum is so bullish at the point that even though you did close bearish and you did close bearish back into this range, which is a pretty nice confirmation, right? It's the chance of price continuing up first is so high, right? So can we take advantage of these ranges all the way up to 2046 or potentially up to 2050 before anything even happens? Because like again, this is the liquidity grab we're expecting for price to grab this higher time frame liquidity, right? So in that case, I just got into a buy basically straight off of like once this candle broke these highs, I think I just took a buy. And then I kind of closed off full, I think, here at 2046 because this was the top of the range. So yeah, that's basically it. Not much else.
I took a buy too, but I think I had got on, like, I was looking at the charts late and I took it at, that's another question I have. How do you know when you can take it on the 5, like off the rip? Is it just based on liquidity and like what we've done in price?
So are you talking about this position that I had here?
Oh no, well, let me tell you, my entry was, for the position I took, it was at 2057.23 and I exited at 2059.
20.
Because I don't think we had filled the 2057, yeah.
Oh,
So,
you went up all the way up here.
Yeah, once we closed on the 5 and I took a buy.
Oh, okay, I see. I guess this was not too bad as well. I think it's difficult to take it if it's here though, because I guess you are extremely bullish. I don't think I would have taken anything like this because overall you're still bearish down. You did have a massive rejection. I just don't know how far up you would have pushed. Like to take a 5 entry there is going to be difficult because you need to look at the higher time frame, right? Like for example,
yeah, that had no bottom.
Your previous 30 closed doji still within the range, right? Your next 30 had no top wick, no bottom wick. So, like, is this just your top wick for us to continue down? Because 2057.
I didn't take the break of those highs because that 30 had no bottom wick.
Yeah.
At that point, after the doji and the 4-hour like seesawed a bit.
Yeah, I think if anything, you probably look for some sells around this area because in general, if you just look at market structure, right, you came down or whatever, right? And then you had this whole whatever this was, right, down. So if you are going to grab liquidity and break this, right, you probably look for something around your next support level around here for us to continue down. But
yeah,
I think that was pretty aggressive, man.
But it was moving so fast.
It was, yeah. Yeah, I think that's basically it. Any questions from chat? Wow, I haven't streamed for a while. It's been like 3 weeks, but we should be pretty consistent for the rest of the week and the rest of the year. Anybody coming to the London or expecting to come? No? Johnny, Jacob, no?
I might. Maybe.
You're funding
I might.
Right? Like Johnny, at least.
When is it?
Like, I don't know, somewhere around like end of like near the end of April, I would say.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah. What would be the next move? I don't know. It depends on how the daily opens. As with most candle openings tell us a lot of information. If it moves up first, then cool. We potentially will take some sell stops to come down, whatever. If it comes down first, probably need to wait till it breaks 2016, 2017 before it does anything else. But yeah, that's
Wait, okay, so
so.
how? I don't think you had said anything. But how do we know when it's valid to take it off the 5 or not?
Yeah, so I think the 5 structure needs to match all the other time frames. You can't just take it off 5 structure. So, for example, right, we had this, what was it? That breakout, right, off of the 1 hour. Let's say this breakout here, this one here, right? You had a breakout below your most recent or whatever. You need to then match this with what's going on overall. Like you can't just say, okay, like you've got a breakout here, so I'm gonna look on the 5, and then I'm gonna take just a blind breakout because any of this could be that breakout, right? So it's difficult to just take a breakout. But then when you align like the 15, the 5, the 30, and everything, then it starts making sense. So if your hourly had broken out, what was the breakout candle at 8 a.m., right? Then let's go to the 30 at 8 a.m., which is here. Cool, you have a breakout below this. Cool, you probably could have taken some level of sales, but you're looking at, okay, you don't really have a top wick for this candle. Come down, okay, you haven't really broken this candle, so are you in a range between kind of here and here overall, right? So if that is the case, what is the cleaner range for me to play? Is it just a breakout below here? All right, so if I'm looking for a breakout below here, I can jump down to the small time frame because then I can refine this. And then suddenly I've got a 15 range, and then I can look at the 5 range, and then I can see, okay, cool. Overall, I'm seeing that I have a range around here. So once I get a breakout above here after grabbing liquidity on the 5, then this is the 5 entry I'm looking for. But if you're just looking for a general 5 entry, for example, when we were around news, it's difficult because you can't base this off of anything because you don't know, like, after 5 minutes, like this first 5 minute closure after news, it's just one bearish candle. Like the only thing we can anticipate is probably a wick fill, right? We can't really anticipate the direction of price because it could very well reverse, which it did, or continue all the way continue down, right? But we'll see it kind of based off of what price is printing, how quickly it's moving up and down, and so on. But in general, like you can't really tell that much from that 1-5 candle. But when you align everything like with this that we just did, all the way starting from like the higher time frame, we understand that we're bearish, we had an hourly closure, right? So then we're looking for opportunities on 5. But we want the best opportunity. We want one which is like very clear and like ones that's potentially going to move quick. Um, so at that point we look for potential breakouts on the 5 or whatever. But with something like this, if it like started pushing up to these areas, this is difficult because just off of this 5, yeah, it looks fantastic, right? But then you could be missing the bigger picture, which is this could just be a liquidity grab for us to continue down. Does that kind of make sense? Or is that kind of the answer you were looking for, I guess?
Yeah, I think it kind of makes sense with higher time frames having to align because it wouldn't make sense, like you said, if there's something missing in another time frame and you're trying to take it off the 5.
Yeah, I think there's kind of two sides to the same coin. Like again, we do need the higher time frame confirmations, but sometimes if we're understanding that overall, price just needs to break this low before anything happens. Then like usually it's you don't really even need to use just the 5 candle. It can just be like off of, oh yeah, okay, so you're just in this range, high chance that you're going to break the lows, even if you want to, because you're overall bearish at the moment, high chance you're going to break the lows before you're able to come back up, or you're just going to continue bearish structure. So taking a sell somewhere within this range is still a high probability chance of kind of winning. In those cases it works as well, right? It just kind of really depends on where price is and what price is actually printing for us. So like for example, let's go to the 15. like for example, with price now, right? Where it's now, like where it's kind of sad now. You're in this range, right? You're overall very bearish on like the 4 hour daily and everything. So what's the chance? And also look at like the 4 hour, right? The 4 hour. If you do want to start driving up, you need to break out above 2030. So the sells here potentially, like they could make sense, right? Because you're understanding that overall price, there's a high chance that price is gonna break these lows if it wants to continue up anyways, right? Because you're consolidating here, you're not really printing much yet. The only issue is you don't have any volume during pre-Asian, right? And market open. There's just no volume, so you can't really trade it. But the overall concept is that even if price wants to go up, you'll probably need to break these lows and then come up, right? Worst case, right? It just comes up first, right? But if it does, you'll see it probably, because it's also overall bearish, right? You'll likely see a retracement to come down and then start reprinting those highs, at least towards break even, I would say. So that's kind of what those sorts of entries are kind of like where we're just looking at the range and being like, okay, there's a high chance that the price is going to do X before X can happen. So can we take advantage of the move prior to it? I think that's what Don's been taking quite a lot. Any other questions?
I want to just ask for that 1 30-minute entry. Could I journal that as a breakout and then wick?
Which 30 entry? This one.
The one, yeah.
Yeah, I think probably I'd say. Yeah, you can probably journal as a 30 breakout and then wick.
And then my advantage point would be the wick fill, right? Because that's what I was thinking.
Yeah, that's your break-even point, right?
And also, for the max profit in the trade, I'm kind of confused. Does that mean like max profit while in the trade or max profit after?
That's during the trade. So how many pips did you see during your trade?
So once you close it, it's irrelevant.
So for example,
like once you close it, like that's it. Like what was the max I seen after I closed it?
Yeah. Cool. So for example, if it was like here, right? But I closed my full position, let's say like somewhere like here, whatever, right? My max profit would have been here. But if I had it here all the way up to these areas, and then I closed in like break even or whatever, my max profit would have been here.
Yeah, gotcha.
Yeah. It's just trying to capture like what we could potentially.
What you could have done better.
Yeah. With different.
Oh, and I don't know if I'm doing something wrong on my journal, but it's not showing me the profit number. Did you have that issue?
The profit.
Like when you go to analysis, like go to the journal and then go to the analysis section, and then when you because I was looking at my January stats already, and it wasn't popping up for some reason.
Send me a screenshot on like Instagram or whatever, and I'll have a look. Yeah. Cool. Any other questions? If not, I'm probably gonna catch up on the sleep. Not gonna lie. Oh, Johnny, so.
This may be a dumb point, but is your journal on year 2024?
I think it is.
Yeah.
I think so.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't know. I have no idea.
Is it already journaling in the section of 2024? Like, am I journaling in that section?
As in, like, on the analysis page, on the, there's got like year and pair, right?
Yeah.
So essentially, when you enter a new trade on like the actual journal, right, and you've put 2024, then on the analysis page you can choose 2024.
Yeah.
Because
I'm probably doing something wrong. I'll mess with it again, and if I still can't figure it out, I'll message you.
Yeah. But essentially, it scans to see how many options there are for year, like what other options exist. So 2023 is probably your main one, right? And then if you start journaling for 2024, you'll see 2024 as an option as well.
So once we start journaling for 2025, it'll automatically show that option?
Yeah, yeah. So I mean, if you chuck in 2025 at the moment, you'll see 2025 as an option.
Oh, that's cool.
Cool, guys. I'm probably gonna get some sleep.
Yeah,
All right.
might be a good idea.
Cool. All right. Thanks for joining up the streams, the first streams of 2024. Man, we're gonna do so many good things for 2024. Even though it's gonna be consistent, I feel like 2024 is gonna be DVS's year. Yeah, big things coming. You guys also know about the PAM that Don's dropping, right? Tomorrow.
What's the cut on that?
I don't know, but he'll release it and then we'll figure it out. Because I know some PAMs are like 90-10 or like whatever, something ridiculous.
What, like they take 90%?
Yeah.
What the fuck?
Bruh.
Yeah, which Don is definitely not gonna do.
Don
right?
is
But-
gonna be fucking wrong.
Dude, it doesn't matter how like consistently profitable you are. That is like crazy risk.
Yeah, but think about it, right? I think that they make like 25,000% per year, and then they do a 90-10 split.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, it's absolutely nuts. But yeah,
That's gonna be you one day.
nah, man, I would never do a PAM. I think if anything, I'd probably just be part of DVS's hedge fund. Once we have that running, but yeah, I don't think I'll ever separate and do my own kind of like PAM or kind of, I don't know, fund or whatever.
I think it takes a lot to want to manage somebody because I don't know, it's like not. I don't know how Don's gonna have it set up, but like I wouldn't want anybody messaging me like, "Yo, bro, are you trading today?"
Yeah.
Obviously,
that's why,
I doubt it'll be even possible to, like, there's probably some contract you'll have to sign or something.
yeah, no, definitely, because it's still your money at risk, but like the PAM is kind of like the higher level protection where it's just saying like, yeah, this money is your own risk and whatever, but we'll see. Should be good though. I think it's been a long time coming, so let's just see how it works.
This one he has like only 500 viewers now.
Yeah. Cool. Right, I'm gonna get some sleep. Anyways, thanks for joining up, guys. Thanks for joining Jacob and Johnny. I'll see you guys tomorrow, obviously, and hopefully for the rest of the week as well.
Yeah, appreciate it, bro.
Nah, thanks for joining up. And,
Yeah, thanks, man.
Happy New Year to you guys.
Hey.
See ya.
All right, peace.
Bye. For everybody on YouTube, welcome back. All right, welcome back to 2024. We're going to be back again tomorrow, day after. Pretty consistent overall until around kind of when Don comes over for in-person. Hopefully, streams will still continue then. We'll kind of see, depending on how much I'm helping out or whatever, but it should be good overall. But yeah, thanks for joining up the first streams of 2024, and hope you guys got something, something educational out of it in terms of either that's technical analysis, either that's understanding why I got into certain trades, why Don got into certain trades, why some of the members here got into certain trades, and why we didn't get into some trades or whatever, right? But yeah, thanks for joining up, and I will see you guys all tomorrow. Peace.